Hi everyone, welcome to today's haircut. Today I've got Miles in my chair and I know Miles has got a picture for me to work towards. So Miles, let's take a look at the picture and we'll see what we're going to do. So tell me about what you like about the picture.
Okay, so I want to keep the length in the back.
Get some more length, get some more sort of shape in the back.
Not as thick on top, so kind of thin it out a little bit. It's definitely too long right now, so I want it up about here, out of my eyes.
Perfect.
And the sides shorter. I don't like this hanging down.
So I'm just getting my hands in there for you. So you can see the width. We want to take the width away, correct? So we can maintain that square shape on the face. We still want to get it nice and tight around the sides, as you can see in the picture. Did you want to sort of take it to the skin really short, or just a little bit softer, a little bit longer? A little softer. Perfect, a little longer, yeah, nice. And then through the back, I know we want to start to get some curl to it. So the length we've got through the top and the back is pretty good. We just want to thin it out so it sits closer to the head. And then definitely sort of see in the picture, we want to just take the fringe up shorter and work it a little bit squarer so we can complement the squareness on the sides as well as the squareness through the front. Sound good?
Yes.
Perfect. We're going to go through and shampoo and then come back and place some sections and start the cut. Okay, so we're fresh back from washing. We're going to go through and take our partings. We're going to look at the details on the side. Most importantly, knowing that we want a squarer result on the side of the head and the overall shape of the haircut, we want to come a little bit higher up. If we work our horseshoe partings or our partings too low down, we're going to end up with too much hair on top, which will make the haircut look too wide. So just to establish that, I'm going to comb the hair forward, comb all the hair down just again, so it looks nice and clean. There we go. I did use a nice hydrating shampoo and conditioner just so the hair is nice and soft. I know when Miles' hair dries, it gets quite stiff, so just having something softer is really nice for that finish. When I come through, first of all, knowing that the shape we want again is quite square, so just using the side of the head, the curvature on the corner as a reference point to come down to the top of the ear, combing that back. And then as I look to the side, seeing where the hair wants to jump out the most. This is going to be key to understand the shape that I'm working towards. So as you can see through here, I'm going to work just that horseshoe or just that diagonal forward parting. And then when I look just at the front, that's going to allow me to have enough shape. I'm going to come a little bit higher. It's going to build into that recession. And then that can be nice and square through that area. When we work the shape itself, it's going to be lower down. We're not going to take it short to this point. We are going to use this as a guide to scissor comb out and to detail all the way through. I'm going to comb the hair back. I'll establish one on the other side. In the same process, let's get a nice balance between the two. And what's good about this haircut is where we want a lot of curl and a lot of movement through the top. We don't have to be too strict on our partings, as long as when we look at our visual balance, our visual shape, we're going to be in a nice position and nice proportion for the results we're working on. Okay. So as I'm cutting this area now, I'm going to come down to my head so I can see my eyes are in a nice position. I can start just with the scissor over comb, placing the comb in, picking the hair up, and then just working that cut. Going shorter and shorter, building the shape as we go. This kind of technique is nice and soft. It's a nice way to create a beautiful result without having something that's too sharp, too harsh. So it allows us to carve the result out a little bit easily so we can make it nice and soft. For me, the repetition of scissor over comb is really important because it allows us just to have a beautiful result all the way through. Miles, looking at the shape on the side, do you want anything that's further back behind the ear or just in front? A little bit higher through here. Yeah.
That's probably
A little bit behind. Perfect. Nice. So re-establishing that parting, just coming down. This allows us then just to have a progressive take on the result we're working all the way through. Look at it. How's that feel? It feels good? Nice. A little bit higher through here.
Yeah.
You like it or let it go a little bit higher?
I like it a little higher.
You like it a little higher? Perfect. The easy thing about working that scissor comb, as we carve the shape, we can just gradually get higher, keeping the comb closer to the head and work higher up rather than coming out sooner. So the idea being, when you're working scissor over comb or with the clippers as well, you can progressively work a haircut, carving out a shape, working that consistency with what you're doing, but most importantly, talking to your client and seeing their take on what they see, getting inside their vision. One of the biggest things we have when we're working with our clients is understanding what they see and what we see, combining those two ideas. So if we can have something where we can grow and build and develop a shape naturally, we get that consistent connection between our client and ourselves a lot stronger. Check, let's see, I'm just going to move to the side, let's have a little look at that. That feels good. You like it? Nice. Just look forward for me. So nice and strong. When we soften the top, we soften the sides as well, and that will sit perfect. Lovely. So now let's move on to the other side. Work from underneath. Just start removing some length to start. Filling the shape out, removing length, and getting shorter and shorter all the way through to finish. How are you feeling? Feeling good? Yes. Does it feel weird sitting in front of the camera?
Yeah, a little bit.
It does, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
Best thing when you're in front of the camera is just be natural, be you, and yeah, relax. I'm doing all the hard work. You can just chill. And pretty good both sides. So, finger step. Good. A little bit higher, just there. As you can see, both sides looking pretty good, pretty even throughout. So for me, that's a nice shape. It allows me to continue on. I can always come back to it later, detail around the hairlines, remove a little bit of weight, extra width around the curvature itself. But for me, I'm happy with the shape so far. So now I can move on to working the fringe and removing some of the length through the internals. So I'm going to be working horizontally through the top. This will be my fringe area. So let's comb that back. I will comb forward. And always with the fringe, we want to leave it longer than we do. We don't always want to take it as short as we see in the pictures, because hair's going to dry. And exactly what will happen is it will get shorter and it will shrink up. So we want to maintain as much length as we can. And if you want to go shorter with the fringe, once the initial length's in, start to remove weight, and the length will naturally get removed as well. So I'm pretty happy with how that's going to sit. I know when that dries it's going to shrink up a little bit, but I do want to take some weight out. I want to make sure it's a little bit lighter and a little bit softer. So to do that, I'm going to go through, lay the hair across my fingers and cut some sections in and remove some length. Create some holes or some breaks in the hair if you will. And when this dries, this will actually make the hair fringe look shorter than it is. We're going to remove these corners in the same fashion, just removing length more than weight. From here, even just with that weight removed, that fringe is going to sit nice and textured, nice and soft. The long bit here I'm going to take off. And there we go. How's that fringe, mate? Feels better? Feels a good length?
Yeah.
Nice. And now through the top, we're going to go through, just work it nice and square. I want to maintain some corners, so we're going to keep it nice and square through the top, but also just cut some weight in as well. So similar to the technique on the fringe, instead of working the hair down, we're going to comb up and do the same technique following all the way back to the crown. Then do the same technique from the underneath, working up through the back. The squareness through this cut is really important, maintaining these corners, because they will overhang, but most importantly, when I come to style later, I can push those into the middle, which will then give me a little bit more squareness and promote more width on top. If I take them too short, you're naturally going to see a roundness happening. So to keep some length in these is really important. So very simply, we're going to work from the front. Every section can be disconnected. Because we're looking for such a curl, such an erratic movement on top, we don't have to connect everything. We can just take horizontal sections, go through, point cut the top just to strengthen up. We're going to go back and forth all the way through. And then we're going to hold the fringe, sorry, we're going to hold the hair, not the fringe, before we cut the fringe, hair behind the fringe, and just point cut into those areas as close to the roots as possible. Some further out, some closer in, some further out. This will start to release the weight, which will then start to create the curl and the movement in the hair itself. We will repeat this technique all the way through, as I said, to the back. Usually about 3 to 4 sections is enough to complete the top of a head. So it doesn't always need a lot. It can be very quick, it can be a very effective and efficient technique to do, because the simplicity of it is really, really key. And sometimes that effectiveness is what makes it really fun to do. So point cut back and forth, as you saw me do, just point cutting back and forth. Now we go back through that section. I'm combing to the back of the section, because what I want to do is when it comes forward, have graduation and softness. That will also promote a bit more curl as well that way. And with Miles hearing this information, as a client, he knows the content information, he knows why his hair is sitting as it does. He's learning, he's understanding his hair type, his texture, and what he needs to do to recreate the style at home. One of the most important things we find with a client is we can do an amazing haircut for them, style it brilliantly, but can they recreate it at home? Can they do the same techniques? Do they understand how to hold their hair, touch the hair, apply product the same? Sometimes that becomes very hard to work with. So that education for our clients is really, really, really important. So as Miles is listening to me as I'm talking about curl development in the hair, how I'm holding it, the way I'm moving it, and he'll see me constantly as well talking about the shapes, he's learning what to do with his hair at home. So we can see here, comb that forward, shapes in place. I can scrunch the hair really well. You can just see that sort of curl happening, that movement. It feels good. We get the seal of approval. It's nothing better than someone saying they like the hair before you've even finished. So that's perfect. And then all I need to do is just thin out the sides a little bit on the underneath. but that shape is straight away in there as well. If we turn Miles to the side, you can see instantly, again, how close we are to the picture already from what we're achieving. Feels good, Miles?
Yeah.
Lovely. Let's continue that same technique around the back, and we'll remove this length through here. When you're working on smaller sections of hair, don't always think you have to do everything. Look for the thicker sections, look for the areas of the hair that feel like they need attention. So with Miles' previous haircut, we did cut into the back quite a lot. So when I hold this hair, I'm going to start to see this is a bit thinner. I don't need to cut into this. But here I could do with a little bit of work. So sometimes you might do the whole section. Sometimes we might just do part of the section. It's going to come down to my own choice as I'm working through. Knowing that we did take it off the corners a lot last time as well, there's only sort of hair really through the center that needs to be addressed. Sometimes the less we cut, the more we leave on the head, the better. We're just making sure that we're putting the right shape in. I always say in education, if it doesn't reach, don't cut it. And that's one of the important rules here, because sometimes if it's not reaching and I try and cut it, I'm going to round the shape. Remember, the big thing we want here is the corners and the length on the side, so keeping length here, again, is really, really, really key. Just making sure we're nice and square, combing out from the head at the same position from the whole section, so holding the hair and combing up to it rather than dropping it. If we drop it, we're again going to go through and lose it. So we want to maintain consistency through the section. Last section, coming through the top. And there I did drop it, but still had the underneath in place. Here we go, last section, come back, release those corners, point cut through. In detail. One thing I will do through this top hair is I won't go in as tight because I don't want to cut anything that could show. So I want to make sure that I cut the underneath through here. So I can just position a little cut underneath to release some curl if I want to. Come all the hair out of the way. And we just see that curl developing all the way through. Nice. How's that feel, mate? Feel good?
Yeah.
Excellent. So the only thing I know I need to do, I do want to thin these areas out here. By looking in the mirror, I can see the roundness that's happening through these corners. So I do want to take these just a little bit shorter, just drop those in. And I do want to go through as well and just release a little bit of roundness from this top area. So that becomes all personal little details that I work with. As I'm looking in the mirror, seeing the haircut develop as it dries, hair's going to dry, it's going to expand from the roots. So allow me to see things that could evolve as the haircut goes on. So we're going to go through and just release some weight out of these corners. Now through here, a little trick for this is I still want to maintain length on the underneath, but I just need to remove this area here. So I'm going to cut the top, point cut into the top, work from the underneath, working up. So what I'm achieving now, if we can see sort of in the mirror itself, you can see this area now just sits flatter. It doesn't jump out as much because I've removed the weight from the top, but kept all the length underneath. So that's very important. Little trick with the technique, rather than trying to, cut into it, we're just trying to remove it, and we can just take away the top area, and that instantly will give us length where we want it, but remove the roundness we get from the curvature. Same on the other side. This is the area of hair that's causing me the problem. So I don't want to take the whole section away, I just want to take the top away. That's now going to give me my squareness. So we're understanding that. Comb down. Fingers can point towards the top. I can point cut, soften, bit of detail. That's enough. We've still got roundness in the back, but we want that curl. That's enough when you look at the front to sit nice and square. So a real simple effect to it. At the top, I'm just going to work a little bit of channeling through here. What I'm doing here is I'm just taking away that initial roundness. So by using the blade, letting it just slide against the hair, just carve down, making sure that my scissor angle, clean them blades for you, the scissor angle is going to be determined on the shape I achieve. If I'm coming straight out, I'm going to keep length underneath. The more the blade is vertical, the more I'm going to start to work that shape squarer. But we don't want to go straight in, we want to carve it round and down, so we're naturally just cutting those areas out. That way, I now can see the shape isn't as wide, it's just nice and soft, and it just builds up the shape that the hair can sit on top, and the whole shape can now be squarer with less hair having to build out from. Let's do the same on the other side. Come down, cutting the length off, as you can see here, and then having the blade more vertical as I take off that. So if I'm carving, creating, working that technique of just easily building the shape into the haircut. Yeah, brilliant. Just takes the roundness away, takes the emphasis of that corner away. So shape is in there, fringe is in there. We've got our texture, we've got our length, we've got our detail on the side. We're now going to go through and clean up just around the hairline. We're going to go through and clean up just on the neckline, just with the clippers to keep it all nice and detailed. So. Just a nice light pressure. We're not pulling them in to get too aggressive. We just want the blades to skip over the skin. We've cleaned up over the ear. And a couple of little bits that we can get as well, so just move the ear back. And just carve that away, so we're just detailing that hairline positioning. Okay, in reverse on this side, so let's just clean up the area around the front, clean up over the ears. There we go. Miles, how'd you feel?
That was great.
Liking it? So Miles, we chatted earlier on about what product you had at home. You have a rough clay and a paste, is that right? And you said you had a cream as well.
No, it was like I have the clay.
Clay?
Like a paste.
Like a paste, so a bit stronger. I'm going to want you to start to use a bit more of a cream, or even when you're at home using something like a cream-based product, or even that paste, something that can hold the hair, but also give it that extra sort of emphasis of using and nourishing the curl itself. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use a little cream today, the fining cream. So just work through, usually probably about the size of a quarter of a dime in there. So about the size of the thumbnail. Work it through. Work on slightly damp hair because that's going to allow the moisture to work with the product. And as you can see, we're going to scrunch in. We're not going to go and run it all through. We're just going to scrunch the product in to work because I want the product to scrunch in and absorb into the hair as I'm working through. So that scrunch is far more important because when you move the hands through, like a drag-in motion, you're going to start to straighten it. And we want to maintain that feeling that it's enhanced the curl itself. So pastes and clays and creams can all work. You'll find the ones, I know you've got some at home that you want to utilise first. And then even as well, a great little tip is using some of your thumb and forefinger just to create some friction to lock those curls in place. I'm going to get a little bit more product. Why? Because I can and I love product, so let's use some more. And as I work it through now, I want most of the product on my fingers rather than on my palm. So when you're applying it, put most of the product on your fingers because that's what you're going to be working with. If it's on your palm, you're not going to touch it. So try and get it all on your fingers and work it in that way. And you like the back to come off the head? Yeah, nice. So I'm going to spin you around just slightly. You can just have a look from there. So see, I'm working, pulling that out. As I'm styling it, I'm sort of lifting it up as I'm doing it, just to get some friction, get that lift. And that way we're giving that curl and that movement. Same through the sides. That's allowing the hair cuticle to lock into each other and to lift up into the center and stay in place. So with Miles' hair complete, we'll get our beautiful shape nice and square. We'll get our details of our education of how we've worked the product, how to apply the product to the hair, the texture, the movement. We've got the understanding from my client, the shape we wanted, and all of the fun details in there. I hope you like this haircut. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.